Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees, the podcast. Well, the Yankees are in the midst of battling the Houston Astros, and I'll get into that in another episode, just around the corner. But just wanted to, there's been so much stuff off the field that I figured, it just almost merits an episode of itself. So we have all these things, of course, with Germán's situation, and now we're finding with Anthony Rizzo, and of course now also getting this report of Hal versus Brian Cashman at the trade deadline, but kind of both sides, want to go with a different approach. So a lot of stuff off the field, so I figured worth examining. So I figured let's hop into it. But before I do, if it's your first time, make sure you subscribe to the podcast, follow, subscribe, like, and get notified when new episodes get up. Get cool little rants like this. Can't get anywhere else. Not on YouTube, not on TV. Only here. You have to be an exclusive podcast subscriber. So I don't know. There just seems like a lot of crazy stuff going on with the Yankees off the field. Of course, with the season teetering in the wrong direction. In last place. Only a couple of games above 500, wowee. But, really not where we expect this team to be when we started this season. And, of course, that's just on the field stuff. But now we're seeing a lot of the off-the-field stuff really starting to accumulate. And, again, this season where the Yankees come up short, can't get one of the wild card spots, it's going to be very, very interesting this offseason. I mean, the blowback from fans and everything, the media, it's just going to be wild. Just because, just some of the shenanigans you see with this team. We get further news what happened to this whole Domingo Germán situation, and what the report is that basically it was in the clubhouse drunk or just, inebriated, however you want to put it, basically broke a TV, flipped over a couch, and basically needed to be forced into the sauna by, Yankee security needed to be called in. They basically forced him into the sauna, let him dry out, whatever. And then I guess escorted him away. And this is where I guess, whatever treatment he's getting, but basically blew up the clubhouse more or less physically and needed to be restrained. So that's kind of interesting there. And, Boone was asked about it, and also alleged that him and Boone had a confrontation. Boone just gave no comment on it. So you're not going to get anything from there, but really wild stuff, just from the whole Germán situation. I mean, the guy's in the starting rotation. He's having a decent season, had the perfect game, as we know. I know, things aren't always perfect, but I guess the guy was drinking before and he showed up to the clubhouse stewed. I don't know. I mean, just a lot of things out there. I mean, it's just a crazy story. And if that's all true, I think he just might be done as a Yankee, because I don't know if he can come back from that. And then if that's not bad enough, now you get in the story with Rizzo, where they finally realized that, maybe that collision at first base with Tatis Jr. was worse than they thought. Geez, after 50 games, the guys only had one home run, that they finally picked up on this. I mean, and really for all sides too. I mean, Rizzo's in his own body. He should kind of know if something's wrong there, but just the whole idea that finally now they kind of realize that maybe, he did have a concussion, and this whole time is kind of had some effects from that. Okay, but no one got picked up on the sooner. I mean, Rizzo could say something sooner. Yankee doctors could say something sooner. I mean, no one realized that this guy only had one home run since this thing happened, way back in June, or I believe it was actually in late May, so even further back. So now he placed him on the 10-day IL to kind of go through the whole battery and see, just again, maybe have him away from the field, kind of gets his marbles lined up right. And, and it makes sense, because at that part of the season, he was close to a 300 hitter. He was doing well for the Yankees. He was off to a great start. And then since then, it's just been terrible. He's just been an automatic out. And the whole age thing and being hurt, I'll put that more on maybe DJ or Stanton. And again, I'll get into Stanton in a second. Another one there to add to the list. But Rizzo, again, that one I just more is again, I kind of felt it was probably more of that collision more than met the eye there. Rizzo's only 32, 33. I mean, it makes sense that also now he would be a 250 hitter, after being a 300 hitter the first couple of months of the season. So at least, it kind of makes sense there. But almost 2 months go by, and now they're finally getting on the top of this. So, and this almost reminds me of the whole Frankie Montas situation, where you have a whole offseason where you could have addressed it, wasn't addressed, and then you show up to spring training, it's oh, you need surgery. What's going on? And this is Cashman's medical staff. Really, it fathoms, the mind there. And then, okay, let's get into Stanton. We figured, look, we've seen him out there in the field, running the bases, whatever. You've seen how he's been moving like a statue, and you figure, yes, he probably doesn't want to tweak anything further. We kind of get it. But during the third game of the Houston series, getting thrown at home by a mile. And he basically, I'm going to call it fast walk. It wasn't even a jog. He was basically fast walking home, and just, catch it. The ball came in, he basically gave himself up. And nothing. I mean, the guy can't slide. He can't run fast. I mean, he's basically immobilized. Now, look, he has the bat, and he's been hitting his home runs lately, so, hey, look, got to get the bat in there. But really, it's embarrassing. I mean, guy kids can't run. So, yeah, he's your DH, fine, you can put him in there, but it's just embarrassing. I don't know. I guess it's better than having him in there versus not having him there. I don't know who else you're going to put in there to produce that type, his type of power, even though it's not really having the greatest season overall, but this is a real bad job. So you got to look at this team, and then probably I'm sure sooner or later we're going to find out something about DJ, whether that foot, and probably it's going to be a situation where him not having the surgery, during the offseason is probably another bad move. He opted for the rehab, didn't want to have the surgery. If it's that foot that's just causing him not to be able to get around on the ball the way he should be able to, he's hitting around 230, 240. That'll be the next one that comes out there. So take that, you take the Trevino injury, and it's just like, hey, look, these guys are just, some of them just maybe old or just getting banged up and trying to play through it. And it's just, it explains a lot, but it's just like just too many of these things going on. And then last but not least, I guess, will be the word also now coming out that at the trade deadline, Cashman was more in favor of selling off, and Hal kind of vetoed that and wanted to hold on to the team to keep it going. And just show you a little collision there between the two, because usually they're both on the same page. But it's like one of the first times I can think of them really kind of being at odds. And ultimately, the boss Jr. Wins out, and the Yankees hold out, which you go weigh things. I think it was the better move because, I don't know. I mean, yes, the Yankees have pieces to sell off there, but again, if you're within 5 games of the wild card and you got players coming back like Nestor, who was good in his first start back and only went 4 innings, like I kind of said he would, and plus you have Loizaga around the corner. You shelled out money for Aaron Judge. You shelled out money for Carlos Rendon, who you finally got onto the field now. You still kind of have to go for it. So of the two, I think, it was the right call by Hal. Now they still might fall short of the wild card. That's the case, but you could have gotten some players for someone like a Wandy Peralta. Everyone wants a lefty reliever, a Michael King, a Holmes. Yes, you could have gotten some prospects back. But if you got a shot to make the playoffs, I think if the Yankees were way out, let's just say had this complete, like the Yankees were had the Mets record and there were several games under 500. All right, that point, it's a no-brainer. Even though you shelled out $400 million for Aaron Judge nearly, at that point still makes sense to tear it down. But if you're still within, a few games of wild card, you still kind of have to go for it. So, I'm happy Hal put his foot down on that one. And again, because off seasons, if they do miss playoffs, it's going to be very interesting. Just got a lot of stuff here, just misdiagnosed injuries, trading for players that are injured, and then you got this whole Germán situation. That's a bad look on somebody. So I don't think it'll be a point where Hal is going to pull the trigger and get rid of Cashman yet. Again, he still has 3 years left on that deal. You're not going to have to pay Cashman another 3 years to sit home on the couch or be a GM of another team. So I think Hal sticks with them. Now we'll see the start of the 2024 season. We'll see how that gets underway. And of course, if that starts going south, then Hal's is going to have no choice but to have to remove him just for the sake. He's going to have to do it. And probably Hal may be kicking himself and maybe regretting giving Cashman a 4-year deal like that at the start of this season. But nevertheless, that's the way it is. So again, I just felt there's so much stuff going on off the field that kind of merited its own thing. So the Houston series on the way. So far, overall, goodish start for the Yankees. Still to be determined. Severino got bombed again. That's just the only bad point, and this is something they're going to have to address, and maybe now you're going to see a shift to the bullpen. But again, if this thing with Germán probably buys Severino a little bit more time, because if Germán was rolling a little bit, then it's easy to put Severino in the bullpen. But with Germán gone, you still got to fill that slot. And all right, you can bring up something for the minors, maybe Davey Garcia or something like that, or kind of rotate John and Brito in and out. But at least at this point, they might probably get at least short term stick with Severino, at least maybe for one more start. We'll see. But again, he just continues to mysteriously get bombed. And it's early. It's in the first innings of all these games now. So it's just kind of puzzling. I don't know if he's tipping pitches or he's not mixing things up well. I don't know. But a lot of bad stuff off the field for the Yankees. And you combine that with a very underwhelming, disappointing season, and it's just a recipe for disaster. And at the end of the season, if they do fail to make the playoffs at all, you expect a lot of fireworks back from the fans, the media. The hell's going to get rained down on Hal and Brian. So that you can be sure. So we'll catch you after the Houston series. And, if you haven't done it already, make sure you subscribe.